We don't have to rush, nah, nah. Yeah. We don't have to rush, nah, nah. You see them other guys, baby, it's no easy, yeah. It's no easy, yeah. My brothers, my sisters, she's wifey, yeah. She's a wifey, yeah. My baby, she they give me life, yeah. She give me life, yeah. Nai mari way, nai mari way.
I know the answer to this.
What's the meaning of life, bro?
Happiness. Happiness is the meaning of life. Like that, I feel like that's the main purpose of life. That should be the main purpose of life.
Personally, I feel like what drives life forward is basically like, for example, a car needs an engine, and the engine to life, I feel, is purpose. So as long as you have purpose, as long as you've got something that's driving you forward kind of thing, then yeah, you find happiness, you find all these other gas stops on the way there.
The whole happiness thing. I think it is a part of purpose. Sorry. I think it's a part of purpose, but if you're like chasing happiness, it's hard to judge sometimes, because one thing that you might look at and think, okay, that made me really happy, you don't know where your end is. So that thing which you look at as like good or bad, like as good or bad, it's only in relation to where you're trying to get to. So for me, I would say the purpose is evolution, and like constantly getting better, constantly finding new versions of yourself, and constantly, I guess, just becoming closer to like the original dream that was dreamed for you. And none of us know it, but I think intuitively you can feel when you're moving towards a direction that feels like the truth of who you are, compared to when you're moving in a direction that's like according to what society tells you you should do, or your parents or whatever. So for me, that's it, like constantly evolving and putting yourself in situations that aid to your evolution. So that's being uncomfortable, essentially.
Popping. And you say about the constantly evolving,
yeah.
Is there like an end goal then, you feel like?
Death. Like when you die, that's when you're done evolving. But as long as you've got like breath in your body, like it's still evolution. I think even when you're like climbing towards a mountain and a goal, there's still another mountain as soon as you reach it.
Answers, they're just like elevated answers. I'll tell you, some of this stuff's pretty, I mean, I don't know if you've read Eckhart Tolle or anything like that, but you're talking about living in the present. I thought I was going to come with a bit of information, but you've got it. I don't need to say much.
How do you define the happiness in line with purpose, in line with the purpose aspect of things? Because you can find happiness, but that doesn't mean you're in your purpose.
Yeah, that's correct.
That's where I'm coming from. Just because you're happy does not mean you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So like, there's an element of you searching for what you're supposed to be doing in your quote-unquote purpose, but is it the right thing per se?
So
that's where I'm coming from.
Happiness can be a distraction.
Yeah.
So that if we get caught up in momentary gratification, so if we're just looking to satisfy some sort of like desire, and we get it, and it distracts us from the journey we were meant to be on in the first place. So like, if you want to look at the sort of deeper aspects of existence, maybe we've got a deeper purpose. But as life goes on and pans out, things like take our attention, we go there, we go here. That's not a bad thing, because every experience is a good experience.
Yeah, 100%.
But you know, but how long do we dwell in those experiences? Are we wasting time dwelling too much?
I think there's a lot of fake happiness these days as well. Yeah. Like, you look at Insta and you're like, oh, I'm going to be happy if I have them new, like, them trainers or them shoes. Then you get them, and you just spent like a year trying to save up for something that you're happy with for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to just do what everybody else is doing, but you've got to realise that everybody has a different purpose. Yeah. So you're like, oh, that guy is a lawyer, I'll become a lawyer because he's got a lot of money but he's happy. But then you might become a lawyer and be absolutely shocking at it.
I feel like obviously that what you said is like monetary, and like that's what most people would like value their happiness on. But also, I feel like I've saw something that said if you're not rich, you're kind of selfish because you're not thinking about the other people around you. So like I feel like there's a meaning of happiness is also like helping people as well. So being able to like fulfill your purpose and then help other people. Yeah, you can see.
I agree with that because every single person on this earth has been given that mandate. Like we all have our journey, but if your journey is not one that is able to feed others, when I say feed others, it's feed into the life of others, help others, or at least instill some kind of light in others, then what you here for? Basically.
So yeah, so like the illusion as well of like separateness. So one of the things I was going to talk about, and tell me if it's going too heavy. It's like I've got my background, my interest, like things like quantum physics, but also intertwined with spirituality. Because I'm a big believer that within the coming decades, I hope so, that some big answers come our way through both science and also like the really old teachings of like going right back to Vedic India, where people would meditate on caves and like have visions and talk about how existence worked. And I'm fascinated now to see like science is sort of acknowledging some of those things. But what like this is really interesting right now is like we're all individuals, or we believe we are, but there could be something more connected about all of us. And like just listening to you talk now, I'm seeing there is a connection. And actually, you lot have evolved since my generation, because when you had a load of me sitting around me, your age or younger, we were just talking about maybe like going down the park playing football, possibly sneaking some alcohol somewhere. It was just that hasn't changed. There was a lot of mundane, silly sort of conversation. Whereas what you're talking about right now, I mean, I aspired to that. I was one of the few that just shut up and didn't say anything because I was thinking it for too embarrassed. I've kind of been fascinated by this subject of what's the purpose of life, why we're here, and it's kind of like haunted me, if you want to use that word, since as far back as I can remember when I was like quite a young boy. I think some of it stems from the fact that my mum had that out-of-body experience during my birth. Actually, I should mention as well that I was resuscitated as a baby, so who knows, maybe I experienced something, I've got no recollection. So it sort of sent me on a journey, and it is completely a journey of evolution. I've like changed my opinions several times, and I want to keep an open mind. My sort of fascination at the moment is studying things like quantum physics, the fringe sciences, looking at philosophy. So I take a lot of like historical philosophy into consideration as well, and theology, and I can try and bring them together, and I sort of see a pattern really in our understanding and try to advance it. Now it's always subjective because we all have our own biases that we apply, and we even mentioned earlier like indoctrination into our family, into pre-existing perhaps religious concepts. So we all have that, we carry that with us, and I think the nature of being human is we're quite traditional and tribal, and we always carry that with us. As soon as we're born, we look to our parents, we're always looking for that father to say.
Yeah, but I feel like thinking it is a different thing, because I feel like everyone has like enough brain to think it, but like when you actually go outside and you live life, like it's hard to like get lost. And I feel like everyone like gets lost for a long period of time, and then they like remember their purpose and stuff.
That's cool. I mean, you're bold and brave because, as you know, this is going to go out. It's going to go out. People are going to view this, and so like, to say that at your age without the worry of peer pressure, because I don't know what it's like for you lot, but with me, certain things you would say would get judged, and you'd be like, oh no, I've got to face that tomorrow. Yeah. And you live in an age when most stuff's recorded, because I could get away with stuff and it'd just be rumour. No, won't be. But that's so different now, because you live in a world where things are going to get reviewed, scrutinized. But education, if I just talk for just 1 second. So obviously that's my background, so I've gone into education after a corporate career, and I look at that whole paradigm, and it's like a conveyor belt. It's like, go to school, go to college, right? You're learning your principles, your maths, English, science, but what are you learning about life? Or are you learning about life? What sort of social skills do you become? I know that you're going to get some, but then does the paradigm need to shift into the way you lot are thinking right now to give you that extra information about like, what's the future of our species, if you like, really high level stuff, and what's going to happen next?
I think that's another thing as well, like I think a purpose in life is trying to look beyond what's in front of you. I think we could all get so caught up in just like, oh, this is in front of me. You don't actually look beyond it. Like there's loads of stuff that comes out now about like law of attraction and things like that never really used to get talked about, but now it's more talked about. And I think like obviously like there's loads of things like the government are hiding stuff from us and stuff like that.
Do you believe that's happening?
Yeah.
No.
Oh yeah.
I don't
God.
Government. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cover your webcams.
Yeah. Think about it.
Wait, I do want to actually get what everyone else thinks. Do you think like
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not in like necessarily like in that whole creepy way, but if you look at it in a logical way, so many industries, for example, thrive off of people feeling like they're not enough.
There you go.
Yeah.
So many industries. So that truth is constantly being pushed forward, but it's not the truth of who we are. It doesn't make sense to be put in a world where you aren't enough. So, and that's logical. Like if you look at even clothes, constantly bombarded with you need more clothes, you need this, you need this, you need more makeup, you need the latest this. That's how fashion goes, because you need more. So of course that, you know, that agenda is pushed forward by the government, like in everything. It's not necessarily like this huge spooky way like the government are doing this. It's just you have to realise that the government has their agenda, and each of the industries that make up society has their agenda. And if you look at it logically, there are some truths which they push forwards that aren't really truths.
So it could be like, sorry, go on. Okay, so it could be like there's a socio-economic agenda for the governments, because we live in a capitalist society. So the idea there is that, you know, it's self-perpetuating. We have to consume for it to exist. So they have to keep giving us prompts. So you need this, you need that. And then if we feel like, yeah, we do, then obviously that works for them. Now I'd sort of flip the question a little bit and say, like, what do the governments not know? Because we're assuming they know most stuff, but we don't know. There's probably a lot of things they don't know as well. And they may be operating within what they understand are the necessary constructs to keep things flowing, to maintain some sort of homeostasis balance, to keep things going. And maybe that's all they've got. They just got to keep it going, because I'll be dead after like 50 years, so just keep it going for my lifetime. They can pick it up and worry about it. But let's not, really seriously, we've got to change that. I mean, it's quite radical, but I've got kids, I don't know if anyone else has it, but like the future is so important, because, you know, it catches up with all of us really quickly. And if we just have a very short-term vision, we're all going to get caught out.
That's the thing.
I think that obviously they hide stuff, but I feel like there's also like an element of trying to protect the public, where like if they gave too much information, some people live in like such a world that they think everything's perfect, and that would like mess up the balance. Like, I don't know.
Okay, I see how you mean.
There's got to be some element of control, or the world would just go mad. But then, like, there's a lot of stuff, like, I think we don't know how controlled we are, like, when you think about it. Like, we know when we go into McDonald's to get in a line, we were never told, get in a line, but we've been programmed to know.
So
and, like, so, like,
robots take
because you think about schools, it's very, like, similar to, like, prisons. Like, you're in groups, you're sat in a line, you're caged in for the day, practically. You've got to...
Funny enough how you...
I know. Oh! I know I was going to say that! That sort of links into the element of, I think once you start getting programmed from that sort of age or whatever, it's also a bit more difficult to discover what your purpose is. Because you're already in a thing of, this is what I've got to do, this is what I've got to do to get to that. And you don't think outside of the box. There's so many people who are sitting outside who I don't even know how to describe it. We see that people like Ronaldo and Messi and them a lot. But how do you know there wasn't someone who was much better than them for some reason because of how they went through? They went. You see what I'm coming from? This.
I see that as more like also with that happiness thing. You ask yourself questions. You can continue doing what everyone's doing, but you can't really blame society. You blame yourself for not understanding that. Yeah, this is how everyone's doing it, but I'm wise enough to think. Because there's space at the top, there's no space at the bottom. Do you know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of people, so everyone can't really be doing this. Do you know what I'm saying? So you have to. It's true,
That's actually very true.
I don't disagree. I think more the area I'm coming from more is not so much is that everyone takes their own time to sort of get to where you are, where you're thinking, you know what? I now know that I don't have to be in this box. So it's a case of how do you get to that point and what tools are you given so you come to that realization earlier or early enough where you can actually then make an impact. Because some people realize what they want to do a bit too late and then the impact that they could have had is minimal. Do you see where I'm coming from? So
that's why so many people get lost. Like everyone gets lost along their journey. Like we're told so many like this is the structure, this is what you need to do, that so many people now are like, but I don't want to do that. But it's okay to be outside the box. That's just your journey. But I don't think enough people realise that, and that's why people get lost along the road.
On that, actually,
I feel like there's a lot of pressure between how.
OJ, I'm so sorry, but he's been itching to
Oh,
say
yeah.
something.
No.
I was meant to come back to you because you wanted to say a question as well.
No, my question is basically like, what is purpose? Obviously, we've been talking about purpose quite a lot now, but what is actually purpose? My own understanding of it, it's not just drive. Because obviously, drive is something that just drives you forward to your next step. Like, okay, I'm on point A, this is point B, then this is point C. But me, from my own lack of understanding, I actually don't know what purpose is.
I feel like, so what I grasp purpose is, as maybe, I don't know, KayTime maybe felt the same, but like for me, I just wanted to do what my passion was.
Yeah.
So what do you enjoy doing?
Yeah, I get
Well,
that.
like what drags, what like, you can't tell, there's so many things, but for some reason there's just this one thing that keeps replaying in your head, and it's like, that's what I should be doing.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone would have that in this type of way, but some journeys are harder than others.
Yeah,
because some people might want to do something simple, and loads of people are doing it, and they instantly find like people doing it with them.
Yeah.
And then there's stuff that is your purpose, but it's like the weirdest thing you can imagine yourself doing.
Yeah. On that note, actually, I'm gonna flip a question. Well, not flip it, but I'm gonna go along your line. Is there a purpose of life, as in a reason for existence? As in, is there a reason for you to be alive? Is there a reason for?
We're all here for a reason. Like my purpose is someone else's purpose. We're all here for each other in a way, because we're all gonna entwine in each other's journey. My purpose today was to be here for KayTime. My purpose tomorrow is to turn up to work and make someone feel amazing. My purpose the next day is to help my family. Like, I don't know what my purpose is, but I'm here, and my purpose is there with your purpose, and all of us are together. And right now, our purpose, all in this room, is to be here and record for KayTime.
Cool.
Oh, actually, one thing I understand about human beings. Bro, go on, do your thing. Do you like this? Do your thing. Basically, one thing I understand about human beings is that we're social beings, innit?
Yeah.
So going from her point, basically, I feel like purpose is basically what you add to other people's lives, so what value you bring to other people's lives, basically. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So like what, like water, basically, like what water do you bring to other people's lives?
Cool.
Basically? Like what life?
I'll bring my reason of existence. I'm not trying to say yours, because obviously I've grown up in an African household. I've been brought up to believe that Jesus Christ, Lord and Savior, we're here religiously. We're here to spread the word of Christ and to get everyone, heaven, judgment day, that type of thing. That's my reason of existing. So, with that being said, do we not feel like religion is the reason of existence, or?
No.
I think it's an element.
The reason why I say that is because, for me personally, religion is a man-made construct. So because it is a man-made construct, there's obviously people who have vested interest in how it is used and maintained by people. So, back to what you were saying, it's the importance of it is it being a spiritual journey with you and your creator or your maker, whoever that may be. Some people call it the universe, some people say Allah, some people say Jesus, but it's all about having a spiritual relationship. Forget religion, because religion is one of the main reasons why there are so many issues in the world today. Full stop.
Can I say one thing? I agree with what you're saying when you say religion is a man-made construct. Because obviously religion is man trying to get to God, basically. But obviously, agreeing with what Marvin's saying slightly. I don't know if I'm agreeing with that, actually. I didn't hear what you said. I'm just going to make it my own. Don't include me. I don't want to upset you. That's fine. Personally, I'm a Christian, innit? So what I feel Christianity is basically a relationship between God and man, basically. So it's a relationship, basically. It's not about religion or anything like that, or them other kind of constructs kind of thing. Religion is bad. I agree with you in that aspect. Because obviously, if you look at history speaks for itself. There's been so many wars, after wars, just because of religion, basically. So I agree with you on that point. But that's it.
You cannot say but. You gotta say you put but in the comma. Finish it.
Religion's Africa, not that I'm a supporter of religion, but I meant it from the point of view of part of the reason we also view religion, not that I'm supporting it per se, the way we do is because people have taken something and utilized it for their own ends. That doesn't mean the actual thing itself was bad.
Yes.
You see where I'm coming from? So when we say we don't like religion, that's because of what it's turned into, as opposed to how it initially may have started.
You're like
So basically,
I'll go to you, OJ, and I'll come to you, Elif. Go on.
Oh, so basically, my thoughts on religion, like, I'm not religious, and I don't follow no strict religion, but I feel like God exists.
Yeah.
Now, people who use religion, I feel like what I believe is that obviously there's positive like energies and there's negative energies. If I say something wrong to you, you're bound to feel negative. If I say something positive, you feel better about yourself. So what I take from religion is more like the positive aspect, and that's why there's nothing wrong with religion, because there's Muslims, Christians, there's like all types of religions, and they're based on the reason. You said you came from an African household, so you're religious, and you say it like because you're African, you're Christian.
Not because I'm African. I'm not saying because I'm African.
Yeah, okay.
I'm straight. Just because of the house that I came from.
Okay.
That's my reason of existence.
But then, what about someone that's Indian and their household they're going to be Buddhist? Are they wrong?
No, that means that'll be their reason of existence.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you get what I mean? Yeah,
sorry, can I just
oh, sorry, Trevor. I might have to cut you because Liv was going to say.
Oh, you're sorry. No, you're right. You're right. No,
it's fine.
No, it's alright. It's fine. Go on. I do apologize.
Say, like, you are basically believing something that you've just been told to believe. Like, there's no actual proof of the existence of God, Jesus. It's just based on books.
I have a Bible.
You see that?
That's what, do you believe in Santa Claus? It sounds stupid. Do you believe in Santa Claus?
I used to believe
So Santa Claus is based on books, films, people telling you about when you grew up. God, Jesus, based on books, films, and people telling you about when you grew up. So why is it you believe in that? You don't believe in Santa Claus or Easter Bunny, because it's all based on the exact same thing.
I believe that it's all the power of your mind. That's what you believe.
Absolutely. But I think intrinsically you know truth, like as in with the whole God thing. I think intrinsically you can feel when something's true. And I was going to say with the point on religion, I don't think it's good or bad, but I've personally done spirituality like without religion, or like without saying I'm a Christian and with that. And I think I prefer to explore spirituality like within Christianity but not limited to it, because it's so overwhelming. Like when you deep it, spirituality is exploring all that there is. Like, yeah, it's exploring all that there is, and if you're doing that on your own, you start to face really, really big questions. And when you don't have sort of like a guide or other people doing it with you, that's overwhelming. So I don't think with religion or like deciding to like associate yourself with like a particular like Christian or Muslim or whatever, it's not saying that's all that is or they have the full truth. It's just saying for me this is how it feels comfortable to like explore spirituality. But I think like with what you were saying, intrinsically you can feel when something's true. Like you can feel when I don't know. I think
I feel like you can program yourself to believe something. That's the thing. If you're getting told this is true,
can I jump in now?
Okay,
go on. Add something.
So basically, when it comes to the story of Santa Claus, I've actually read up on it. There was a guy called Saint Nick. He moved from England. Went to Germany. Started cutting down. No, basically they were building up trees and then they were worshipping trees. And then obviously he started cutting the trees down, and that's where the tradition of Saint Nick came from. Then obviously it got changed, and then people started calling him Santa Claus. So that's the story of Santa Claus.
Thank you.
So I hope you're right, because there's going to be over 1,000 people who watch it. And they're going to comment with Wikipedia. That's what I said. Wikipedia, bro.
The thing with like Christmas with certain festivals, like they're amalgamations, they're mixed up with other things. So there's a lot of pagan rituals as well, which are associated with Christmas. And there's other rituals as well. I mean, I can't remember people who I tutored for a little while. We watched a film called Zeitgeist, I don't think I've heard of that. Right? So if you haven't, like, you know, take a watch, quite interesting. It goes through like a little, one of the chapters, it's like a journey about the stuff that's been grabbed from our long past history and then repeated, churned out, modified and made into a religious context. And then things have been applied to it, for example, like the story of Christ and the resurrection and various things around that. And so if you look at that historically and you were to take into account that there might be some evidence to back it up, certain things have just been repeated for the necessity of keeping control for some of society. And remember, we're talking about a society which was nothing like ours, you know, which was quite volatile at least. And so those mechanisms were applied back then. But just on a slightly different subject, so like, this is something I'm really interested in, I'm sure that's what we're, but and I've been sort of studying this for like 26 years or so. And that's why I said right at the start, the application of science now and looking at what it means. So people have had near-death experiences and have been brought back under semi-controlled conditions and are able to provide veridical information, in other words, while they were not here, while they were dead, no heartbeat, no brainwaves, and they have this experience out of their body, and then they're able to come back and recount it, and then there's evidence to suggest what's happened during that space of time has occurred. And they say things like, for example, I was floating above my body, etc.
I mean, that's witchcraft. That's because people can, you know, move their soul out of their body and stuff like that. It's, for me, I think, I don't know what to say. I don't know.
Only witchcraft can do that for you.
Yeah, I think witchcraft. Yeah, people with, you know, some mad powers and stuff like that. So them ones, I don't know, man. Just
have you ever opened your mind to think that maybe that does happen, that people without witchcraft?
It is witchcraft. I know it does happen.
So you think it is with you because you said it is?
I know it is witchcraft. You know why?
You don't know though.
No. I know it because I've seen it. I've seen it. My cousin was kidnapped. When in a village, like if a king dies, for example, they can easily kidnap people and kill them, and then that way they say he goes with them. It happens in a lot of different.
So like, what really grabs me about that is when I was being born on some camp, my mum was resuscitated, right? So she had an out-of-body experience. And of course you're inclined to believe your parents. But when your mother says to you, you know, I was out of my body and I was like spinning in the corner of the room and I was like, I've got to get back, I'm going to give birth to a child, I can't die. And there's a whole experience there. So that set me off on a journey. That was kind of like, you know, you said, what's that motive, what's that journey, what's that path? So that was one of the things that grabbed me as a kid. I was a right weirdo. Because I went to a library when I was really young, like 7 years old, and they said, like, get a book, any book you want. You know, all the kids getting Kevin Keegan's Soccer School, and getting all like the classic things of that time were interesting. I come back with this book, had all this dust on it, and the librarian was like, what is it? It's like, How to Open Your Third Eye. I was like, oh, on that one. I was like, and they're like, this is like occult stuff, and I was like, yeah, I know, I need to know that. So I don't know why, I just gone off on a tangent, but it really interested me. Now that was a bit extreme, but since that time I've tried to, where possible, use like the modern scientific thinking to try and grasp a better understanding. And I have, and like part of what I brought today was really good experiences of like the near-death accounts of others. You know, I won't go on too much about it now, but if you want to, maybe I'll tell you about some really good evidence that, you know, that it's, and this is a great thing, the evidence is there. Like people say, oh, if it was true, we'd know. And like the thing is, a lot of people don't go looking for it. But when you really go looking for it and you track it down, and I've been, like you do, gone to interview people and all sorts, you find, you know what, there's loads of information, loads of evidence. And that's just the first journey, that little bit of out-of-body stuff, that's the first part, it progresses on from stuff.
That's amazing.
What would you say is your reason for existence then?
So like, my understanding at this point, right, is it's iterative. So like, this is me right now as Trevor.
Yeah.
There's been more incarnations. In my opinion, like, this is just subjective to...
So you think that there've been more...
Yeah, and I think, like, as we understand it, while we're embodied, like time is linear, you know, we're going through a process, blah, 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 but actually, you know, it could be like, there is a concept of many worlds theory, multiverse theory, things are going on, you know, concurrently. I mean, the thing is, it breaks down all of our understanding, so it's quite difficult just to put it in like 5-second soundbite.
Yeah.
But like, if you look at things in quantum physics like entanglement, superpositions, wave collapses within fields, and how things currently, there's a guy called Dean Radin, a doctor, and he's got some breakthrough stuff going on right now where you probably haven't noticed, like an experiment called the double slit experiment where they fire particles. I'm not going to bore you to death with it, but basically consciousness interferes with the results, and when he has people sitting and meditating and concentrating on what the outcomes are going to be, the wave collapses and they can influence it. So when they read the results, they're based on consciousness. So what this basically comes down to is that everything around us derives from consciousness. There's something called biocentrism. And a lot of things stem from that. Now, at the moment, these are theories, and I can get shot down because I've not got all of the information to really back it up. And a lot of people who even like studied and they've put books out there, you know, they still get shot down because, you know, we're in this sort of strange period of time right now where science has got a really good stranglehold on belief systems, And it's taken away from religion as well. And it's saying, like, this is it. Don't tell me any stories because you can't back it up with double-blind, experiments, etc. But but I feel that the good news is we're going to come to a point where there will be an acknowledgement.
I agree with him on the point that we're here now, but we've been here for a long time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree with that because I saw something that said, we can't imagine nothing, so therefore nothing
Exists.
Yeah, nothing exists. Like basically.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I know it's weird. She knows what I'm saying. So we can't imagine nothing. Like we don't know how
So
it
we've
feels.
seen it before to be able to imagine it.
I get what you're saying. Like, you can't imagine nothing now, or the concept of nothing doesn't exist. There must be something before what we believe to be the something. But I don't think we come from like, personally, I don't think we have like another life. I think we come from like pure consciousness, pure godness, pure light, and then that's where the evolution is. Like, this is where I came from, and I'm going back to it, as in, pure light, pure love for me.
Based on astral projection. Do you know? Have you read about that? So basically, I had a friend who at night time would leave his body and then we just go travelling around.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Dr. Charles Tart. I'm going to throw names out, right? Another really known, well-researched guy. He had a laboratory condition to prove this.
Yeah.
So what he did is he was managed to get hold of a woman. I think she was called like Mrs. Z because she was anonymised, and she claimed to be able to leave her body regularly at night time. So what he did is he set up a very controlled experiment where he put a 5-digit number high up, above where she could physically get to. And then during one of her out-of-body experiences, I think it was like on day 4 or something of the experiment, she woke up about 6:10 in the morning, and she was able to shout out the 5 numbers exactly as they were, and it's like billions and billions to 1 of the chance that would be possible. So he has written it up, and obviously it's been scrutinised. But you have to look at things with bias. I think that's really important. But you also have to look with logic as well. And science always demands that things are well scrutinised. But and then we start looking around, because my opinion there is that's pretty difficult to fake. But he said, what about a top magician can come in and like they might be able to put mirrors in places, this and that. Well, he had that lab set up specifically to stop everything like that. He had it checked out by people like magicians and other scientists. He was ready for the scrutiny. And I think that in itself says that, if our consciousness can exist outside our physical body, like it's not allowed, well, straight away, that changes everything.
Yeah.
So it means that this is possibly a vessel of reception. The consciousness might just be, and this is just one expression.
Another like more physical one is like when they say you should visualize. So when you visualize an action of you doing something, then you can actually accomplish it.
It's like a law of attraction.
Yeah.
Energy.
Can I please just say?
Come in.
All of this that we're talking about is witchcraft. Because where I come from in West Africa, we have very prevalent areas where there is juju or witchcraft and so on. So people will leave their village in Okoton, wherever, and they'll go and sit next to you.
They can't sit next to you when you're sleeping.
They'll come and sit next to you in London. They'll sit there nicely. You will not know they'll come and get the information they need to get. They'll go to their village nicely, calm, no qualms. Some people come as cockroach. Some people come.
This is bro. So when you mentioned earlier about what's it called, like believing different stories about Jesus and blah blah blah. It goes back to the walk of life aspect in terms of some of the reasons we have certain beliefs is based on experience.
Yes.
Because there was a period of time where I was like, Jesus who?
Exactly.
Yeah, I used to.
That's where I'm coming from. So it wasn't like I grew up in it. But I didn't just take it hook, line, and sinker. Me, I was in church just doing what I'm doing. So it's an experience thing as well. So when you see, like you said, you almost feel it inherently. So sometimes like I look outside, I'm like, yo, you mean these buildings, these trees, everything, like, and this just came from a big bang. Jog on, please.
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw an explosion? It sounds retarded. An explosion creates something.
No, I thought, I was like, where did the explosion happen? Like, it can't exist within nothing.
Within nothing. So even that explosion.
Is there a greater being then?
Yeah, I believe there has to be something.
Illuminati.
I'm just not. I'm still talking about purpose of life.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, with the purpose of life, and like you said that, like,
it's more than drive, basically. I feel.
No, yeah, you said like it's unclear to you.
Yes, unclear.
And stuff like that. But I think that, like, apart from religion, I feel like the family you're born in as well matters, and like being like you, I can't imagine you telling your parents you want to be a YouTuber and they were like.
No, yo, listen, until now, by the way, mums, if you watch this, you can start supporting me. Until now, my mum doesn't want to hear nothing about this.
My mum doesn't know what I do.
Hey.
And that's just because, like, when you come from, even sometimes your purpose in life, what I'm trying to say is that it can be, I'm not going to make it sound like it's bad from your parents, but it can be blocked.
Yeah.
By people
your
they
parents.
love, from people
Yeah.
you
But
love.
that is because of what they know.
No, yeah,
Because
they
YouTube was
I
so
don't blame-
restrictive.
Yeah.
So they
So you
feel
can't-
like they're protecting us.
So like
Because
fear.
they don't know about YouTube.
It's a
They
big
never
deal.
grew up with it.
But I think that's what like makes purpose distinct from passion, because when you're passionate about something you want to do it, and then as soon as a block comes, that's it. But purpose is borderline obsession. Like you'll go past things where like other people would stop, but you keep going. Like for me, I think that's when I knew I found my purpose with coaching, because usually a block would come like, okay, I don't have money to do this program, and that would be it. But now it's like, no, I'm gonna get it. And it would be like, I don't want to be this vulnerable and put a book out, and it's like, no, people need this, I'm gonna do it. So that's when you know the difference. Passion's like, this is nice until there's a block that comes. Purpose is until I'm dead, I'm still going for this.
Nothing.